In build up to my new setup tour, I decided to rebuild my AMD 2700X system and make it into a streaming PC, and I was fortunate enough to get Corsair to sponsor the changes. This video is more so people know what I'm using, so I don't have to go over it again when I do the setup tour. My theme is black and white, so I let the RGB lights define the colours. So I chose the Corsair Spec Omega case. For the capture card, Elgato 4K 60 Pro, some new Corsair Vengeance DDR4 memory, and I was meant to get the Corsair H115i, but the H100i is still solid. And for power supply, the Corsair AX850. These are all Corsair products, so while I don't rate their mice highly, I really like most of their other products. Just putting that out there so people don't think I'm a Corsair hater with my recent reviews of their mice. Anyway, I'll take you through the build and give some thoughts. For a start, I wish they had hinged the side on this case, or even just have screws you can undo with your fingers. Kind of annoying to have to use an Allen key to remove the glass. This cable is in the way, so don't think you can be lazy installing the motherboard. I'm going to replace the fans anyway with some Corsair LL120s, but you will need to take them out just to get the motherboard in. Have to remove a few tabs to get the front off. It actually took me a while to work out how to build in this case. It's not quite like the others, just in its design and layout and just where you want to put things. But the cooler goes on the front, and I'm going to remove the cable ties so I can do my own cable management. Okay, 1, 2, skip a few, cooler installed. I don't know much about memory, but apparently Ryzen 1's faster than this. That said, I've been using the system for a month now, and it's been fine for video editing and even gaming. It's super pretty too. I'll show you that soon. The A50 power supply is overkill for the system, but this is essentially a sponsored build, so I get to have higher quality products than I actually need. This is just to let you know that it does exist, so if you are in the market for an A50, you can check it out. This is cool though, the cable case has them all separated. Very nice touch. Now we don't have to sort through the mess. And it has a 0 RPM button on the back. There is very little space with the drive bays in the way, but you can move it over. Here's a look at it so far. I'm getting there. I'm happy with how tidy the case is, until you look at the back. Now I know this looks bad, but I can assure you, it's much worse. Speaking of cable management, I think from now on, I'm going to get the extra wide cases just so we have more space. This is a constant struggle getting the cables to fit. I mean, I eventually got it looking alright, but there are just far too many cables and far too little space. Just a bit wider would be great. Here's how the system looks with the default fans. Nice and pretty, but with the LL120 fans, it will be even better. The RGB strip at the front of the Spec Omega is beautiful too. Really cool to have. So I love the case in a lot of ways, just needs a bit more size. Also, the front-facing USB ports are part of why I chose it, so the cables don't bend too badly when I plug something in. Like when they're on top, they do bend and it just makes me nervous. I think they're gonna break. For the motherboard, I'm using the Gigabyte X470 Aorus Gaming 7 Wi-Fi. They just seem to put the extras on there that really work for me. For example, unlike ASUS, the Wi-Fi antenna is magnetized. That means you can just put it on the side of the case, or on a metal frame desk. So much better than the usual, which just falls over constantly. Big shout out to the designer of this, I love it. Anyway, here's the system in all its glory. There might be too much RGB, but I really wanted to go pro, so I doubled up on the RGB strips as well. And that's my AMD build. Ryzen 2700X, Vega 64 or 1080 Ti, not sure which card I'll use yet. I was using it as a stream PC, but turns out dual PC streaming isn't as easy or as bug free as I thought. If you're thinking of doing this, please do your research because there's a lot to it. If I actually get my head around it someday, I'll do a video on how to get it set up. But for now, I've gone back to single PC streaming. As for general use, the case is great but needs more space. Love the look of it. The fans are silent and efficient with brilliant RGB. The system appears to be kept cool with the H100i. Haven't had any overheating issues. And everything is working well. So big thanks to the sponsors, Corsair, Gigabyte and AMD. All opinions were my own of course. They just provided the parts I wanted. Which is greatly appreciated of course. But that's it for now, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment below with your experience of dual PC streaming. Maybe let others know how difficult it actually is. And I'll catch you in the next.